Let's just jump right into this. $2 a day. That's all I had every day to eat. $2 a day. Not for breakfast, not for lunch, but for the entire day. Listen, $2 a day is not much, right? Y'all agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine being a kid in class, stomach growling, and you're trying to learn like everybody else. But you know in the back of your mind, all you have is $2 to settle this hunger. Knowing that you still got to go through nutrition, lunch, basketball practice, and then this long walk back home. Now that's poverty at its best to me. If I gave you $2 right now, you probably look at me and just laugh and be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Right? But for me, that was survival. You see, my mother was a county recipient my whole life. Okay? She couldn't really afford much. We always argued about this all the time because I wanted more, but she was okay with less. But here's the issue. I didn't truly understand where she came from. See, my mother grew up on a sharecropping plantation in St. Joseph, Louisiana, picking cotton as a little girl. Submerged in poverty and without love. That's my $2 right there. Picking cotton, submerged in poverty and without love. Now, here's the irony in this whole situation. The very love that she couldn't get as a child, epigenetics, y'all, right? She was not able to give to her own children. Does that make sense? My mother married a man who had multiple children when she got with him, and then had multiple more children when they got married, but not by her. Does that make sense? In other words, she had a confidence issue, right? So, this man seemed to give her more pain than he gave her protection. You see, me, I was a creative. I was a Pisces who wanted to paint my brilliant ideas over every canvas that I got a hold to. But see, the environment that I grew up in and the neighborhood that I came from had a different plan. But little did I know, the whole time I was cultivating what I would later call post-traumatic hood disorders, right? My mother met a man during one of her breakups from my stepfather at one of our family Thanksgiving dinners, I believe it was. He happened to be friends with my mother's sister, my auntie. They hit it off, they started dating. And within a couple of months of them dating, he came over to the house with my mother. And they gave us a grand announcement that they were moving us from Los Angeles to Gary, Indiana. Think about this, y'all. You're going from LA to Gary. Who wants to move to Gary, Indiana? Like Michael Jackson doesn't even want to be there, right? We moved to Gary, Indiana, into this shotgun house, 4 bedrooms, 7 kids, 2 adults. And please, let's not forget to mention the honorable mentions of these creatures that I call, or we all call, rats. We had rats in this house the size of cats, right? How do I know this? Because many days I woke up with rat poop on my arms and my legs. This sounds bad, I know, right? But that's not the worst part of it. Let me get to the worst part. My older sister and I couldn't take Gary, Indiana. We just hated it with a passion. But we found something that we could do that we both loved, and that was basketball, right? So we found a basketball game, and we went to this basketball game. But when we got to this basketball game, as usual, because we never got along, we had another argument, as siblings do sometimes, right? We got into an argument. I said some things to her. She said some things to me. But when she got back home, she chose to go tell my mother what I had did, but left her situation off the table. Right? So, my mother and her new boyfriend calls me into their bedroom. Let me paint the scenario for y'all real quick, okay? My mother's laying on the bed watching Good Times. Her boyfriend is on the other end of the bed watching Good Times, but he's sitting up in a seating position like you are, anticipating me coming in the room. So when I came in the room, he immediately rushed up to me and got face to face with me. He's yelling, he's screaming, he's cursing, he's spitting in my face as he's talking. So obviously what I do is I try to shield myself from him. And the minute I do that, he socks me twice in the face. Nose bleeding, mouth bleeding. I look over to my mother. She looks back at me and looks right back at JJ and kept watching Good Times. Like nothing ever happened. When it was all over, I went to the bathroom. I cleaned up my face best I could, got the blood off, made sure my nose wasn't broken. But then I sat there once I was done, and I just cried for as long as I could possibly cry, right? But when the tears dried up, I was a completely different person. That person that was joking and playful and wanted to be creative was gone. My mother finally got it in her mind that this was the wrong place to be. And she decided to be going back to LA. She's breaking up with this guy. But here's the kicker. She wanted me to stay in LA, stay in Gary, Indiana, for one more month to finish school, but they were going to go back before me. Did y'all hear what I just said? She wanted me to stay in this place with the man who just abused me by myself for a whole nother month. I couldn't understand it. I stayed there. I had to walk to school, which was about 2 or 3 miles one way. Walk back home by myself, again with $2 again. Walk back, feed myself, wash my own clothes, everything. I'm in the 9th grade, y'all. By the time I got back to LA, my heart was completely hard. It was completely cold. I really, truly felt like no one loved me at this point. Now, when I got back to LA, it was 1988. And if you're from LA and you're old enough, you know 1988, South Central LA was a death trap. Gangbanging was at an all-time high. All of my friends were dying daily. But for me, I really didn't care that much because I didn't care about life no more, technically. I'm gonna try to fast forward to the screen. I had one of these jackets right there. Cincinnati Reds jacket. Back then, this jacket was a very hot item. Right? But the problem with this jacket was that color jacket in the wrong neighborhood was a bad idea. I grew up in a Crip neighborhood, so I don't even know how I got that jacket, to tell you the truth. But wearing that jacket in the wrong neighborhood was a death sentence. But remember, I told you I didn't want to be here no more, right? So I had a suicide mission attempt. I said, I'm going to put this jacket on, and I'm going to go for a walk through the neighborhood, and somebody's going to take me off this planet because I don't want to be here. I had seen it multiple times before. So I put the jacket on. I walk up, Stalker. If you're familiar with LA, you know what I'm talking about. I walk up Stalker to Crenshaw, Crenshaw to King, King over to Lemert, Lemert up to Vernon, Vernon back over to Crenshaw, and then I go Crenshaw back to Stalker, and then I go back home. By the time I got home, I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, nobody wanted to kill me today? I'm not even worth the bullets? I sat there, I cried again, but once I got through with this cry, I came to the conclusion there must be something else on this planet for me to do. Because there is no way that should have just happened. Right? When you grow up in the hood, y'all, it's like a war zone. But you don't get the veteran benefits from growing up in the hood. You just keep getting redeployed back to the same blocks every day. Y'all follow me? Post-traumatic hood disorders gives a voice to what this truly is. It gives you a voice to why would a person join a gang? Why? Because, just like me, you didn't get love at the house. So you look for it in any other place. If you want to do drugs, you're doing drugs because it's easier to hide the pain in the drugs. Why would you sell drugs? Because overcoming the poverty, you can't see any other way. You see, pain is not normal. Abandonment is not normal. Trauma is not normal. But in the hood, all of this stuff is normal. If you come from the hood, you know what I mean. I want to talk about something important here real quick. And because this thing right here is the serious anchor to why post-traumatic hood disorders stays on a repetitive cycle in our community. And that one thing I want to talk about is music. Okay? There's a thing called neuromusicology, if you've ever heard of it. It talks about how music has a very strong pull on its listener. You ever heard of it? I don't have it on this slide up here, but I want to talk about Ice Cube. You ever heard of Ice Cube? Yeah. Right? Ice Cube, the poet, the MC, the actor, and one of his favorite hood anthems called Today Was a Good Day. I want y'all to sing this with me if you know the song, by the way, okay? He says in one of his songs, he says, plus nobody I know got killed in South Central LA. Today was a good day. Thank y'all for participation. But I want y'all to think about this. The baseline of his good day was the fact that he survived. The baseline of his good day was the fact that no one was killed today. You see, I love hip-hop, y'all. Hip-hop gave me a lot in between my journey. It gave me a voice. It showed me where I could go be creative at. It gave me a lot along my journey, but what it could not do for me was to help me heal from the pain that was already inside of me. It couldn't give me that. I needed something way deeper than that. In 2018, I found exactly what I needed. The tool that I needed that would give me the language that I needed to hear. It would give me the wisdom I needed to heal. I got initiated to Ifa in 2018. As you can see, IFA, Ifa. That is a Western African spiritual religion. And in Ifa, they speak heavily about this thing we call Ori, which is basically translated into your mind, your purpose in life, right? In science, we talk a lot about what is called neuroplasticity, right? But neuroplasticity in Ifa is simply following your destiny. Does that make sense? Now, following your destiny in Ifa led me to understand the wisdom that I needed to heal myself, which meant that I had to go back to my past and forgive some people, which started with my mother. I had to forgive my mother. I had to forgive my stepfather. I had to forgive my own father. And I had to forgive this terrible, traumatic past that I had in my rearview mirror so that I could move forward, because without that, I could not heal. Hope I'm making sense to somebody besides myself.
Woo!
You see, y'all, post-traumatic hood disorders almost took me off of this planet. It really did. I almost committed suicide from it, but surviving post-traumatic hood disorders allowed me to embark on a new mission. And that new mission that I found made me name it. It made me want to fight it. It also made me want to help other people to heal from the same trauma. I'm pausing because I'm getting emotional right now. Sorry, y'all. But it made me want to help other people. You see, what I do know is this. There is no gangster. There is no drug addict. There is no drug dealer. There's no prostitution. There's no one out there chasing the bag over character that is not suffering from some level of what I call post-traumatic hood disorder. There's no way. But when I found out how it affected me, I made the tough choice to make the change. You see, if you come from the hood, you've already won the war. But the key to this whole process is to not let the war within you that survives you still win the battle. I want to thank y'all for listening to me. My name is Jasir. Frankly, this is how I survived post-traumatic